back, relax, and maybe get yourself a snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hey guys, so I am here today to discuss a topic that I've not really covered on my channel before, but it's one that is kind of ongoing in my life right now. So I said to you guys a few videos ago that I have really exciting stuff going on right now. Me and my partner are in the process of trying to buy a house, our first house together, very exciting, and we're super loving it. We are just enjoying every minute. Well, it's stressful, but besides the stress, we're enjoying every minute. And it's so exciting to have these amazing opportunities and amazing things coming up. But on the flip side, I personally also have an elderly family member who is unfortunately kind of deteriorating in terms of health, and he is terminal, so we know that it's probably going to not be too long until he passes away. And this is my first experience of death in the family. It's something that I haven't really had to deal with before because I'm very lucky in that all of my grandparents are still alive and I'm close with them all and my family are all still alive. I haven't really had to deal with it. I've been very, very lucky. I'm not looking forward to it, of course, but I'm the sort of person who sort of doesn't deal very well with this until it happens. I just kind of do my best to stay positive. I've got other people in the family who are more upset and who are more close to this relative, and they are struggling more than I am right now. But I know once all of this happens, I'm going to struggle then, because that's what I do. I won't do it until the moment, but I will obviously be upset. So my headspace right now has been all over the place. I've got the super exciting amazingness of buying a house, and then I've got the really sad, nasty, horrible side of someone I love probably not going to be around for that much longer. And it's just like crazy how opposite these two things are and how crazy the emotions are. And that's another reason why YouTube has just been kind of backwards for me, like I haven't been doing it. But I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what you do when your life is just all over the place, because everyone has stuff they go through, whether it's going to university, struggling with exams, whether it's leaving home, whether it's moving on to something really exciting, passing your exams. Like, there's all sorts of ups and downs, getting married, getting engaged, having kids, all these sorts of crazy things can happen, big life momentous moments, getting awards, getting achievements, you know, there's so many things. And then death and loss and people suffering through illnesses, and there's so many things that can go on in a person's life, and they can all happen simultaneously, and it can be a really, really crazy time. And I feel like I've got a little touch of that right now, where just everything is up and down. I don't really know what is going on most of the time, so it's very day by day, and my reading mood has kind of been affected by this, I think. There's been times where I just haven't wanted to read at all because I felt so overwhelmed with trying to do stuff and trying to organise stuff and trying to think, like, what do I need to do next and what do I need to do next? And it's been tricky to fit in reading time. But when I have been able to read, I've been reaching for a particular kind of read, some sort of comfort read, I feel like. And I thought I'd just discuss with you guys some of the books that I would recommend for people who might be going through something similar, whether that's good emotion, bad emotion, or a mixture of the two. Just books that I think work for this kind of situation because of the nature of what they are. They work any time, but they're particularly good for this sort of time where everything's just a mess. So let's talk about some books. The first one, of course, I want to recommend to you guys is a book that is a favourite, something you've already read, something you absolutely love, and you know you don't have to think to get back into it. You're just going to go into the world and enjoy it. I think that is key. Something that you know is got a nice place in your heart, something that you're really excited to return to. So for me, when I think of a reread or a book that I passionately love, or one that I know will be a good read when I go back to it, it's this. Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. This is the first one in the Live Ship Traders. You guys know I love Robin Hobb immensely. I think all of her books are great, but this one and this series in general is probably one of my favourites for her. I actually love all of her Farseer books, so I could have chosen pretty much any, but this one is the first one in a series which is Quite different to the Fitz series. This has multiple POV and it's based on ships, and it's got a lot of epic fantasy tropes that I really enjoy. It's got lots of characters kind of defying stereotypes, which again I really enjoy later in the series, and I just think that it's a sort of book that I know when I pick it up personally it's something I'm gonna love. It's not going to be for everyone, but for me it's a favourite. So my recommendation to you guys would be reread favourite books, or books that you remember from before just loving when you read them, because that's the sort of read when you're in a crazy headspace. It's nice to just go back to something that you know you're gonna love. That's my first recommendation. My next recommendation is to return to a series that you've already started, and by that I mean something that you're excited to continue on with, but something you don't think you need to really invest time in learning new characters, learning the world, learning their magic, etc. So I have recently picked up this one, Hearts of Ice by David Hare. It's the third book in the Sun Surge Quartet, and I am hugely familiar with this world because it's actually the 7th book that is set in this world by the author, and I've read all the others, so I know the world and the characters very well from reading the previous books. I feel like it's a world that I can slip back into quite easily, so again it's not too taxing, but it is new information. If you want to read a new read and you still want to get that excitement of like picking up something fresh, you don't want to necessarily reread, I would recommend picking up the next in a series, something that you think you're gonna like, and fingers crossed the author delivers and it is good, because that's exactly what I'm hoping will happen with this one. For me, I'm currently reading it and enjoying it, so yeah, hopefully this one will kind of get my reading mojo a little bit back, especially because it is such a chunky read. It's something I can dedicate a bit of time to each night and hopefully just really enjoy. So that's my second recommendation, is read something or continue with something you've already started, so you don't have to think too much, but it's something you'll enjoy by an author you like. Next up, I recommend reading children's books or YA books. Books that are easy to get into, something fun. Fun is the key here, because when you're all over the place, it's so hard to just sit down and think, right, switch everything off, just have a laugh, have enjoyment, and don't think about all the stuff that you've got to do or you need to do or you're worrying about or whatever it might be. Just, yeah, think about something fun. And I recommend Nevermore. This is one of the most recent kids books I've read, and it's also one of the best I've recently read, so I highly, highly recommend this series. This is a beautiful book inside and out. It's just filled with magic, it's filled with amazing beautiful moments between the characters. It's got a lot of spark to it. It takes influence from books such as Harry Potter. It has some similarities, but I think it's completely its own thing. The magic system's unique, the world is unique, the characters have their own integrity, they feel very fresh, and I like reading about them. I think it's not the most complex plot out there, but that's nice when you want to just escape rather than sit down and read something heavy. It's nice to just read something light-hearted, fun. I think this also has like small illustrations throughout the chapters, so that's always a nice thing, I think, just to kind of perk you up a little bit as you read. And it has like an amazing inside, and yeah, all the books in this series are beautiful. I am just loving this series. I do think it's perfect for escaping the day-to-day life. And that's my third recommendation. Read a children's book or something that is super light, super fun, maybe YA as well, so that you can just get in the right headspace. My next recommendation is, again, it's a children's book, but it's slightly different because this is Wonderstruck by Brian Selznick. Now, he is quite a unique writer, I would say, because his books are heavily, heavily illustrated. And what I mean by that is that they are largely like half and half text, half pictures. It's hard to flick through because they're so chunky, but I'll show you some of the pages from within and they are absolutely beautiful. So I would say that reading graphic novels and comics is something you can do when you're in a kind of crazy headspace, but I also think that his books are just beautiful, and they're the sort of story you can lose yourself in, something that is so heavily illustrated that you don't have to think to imagine it, you can just see it on the page in front of you and it's just beautiful. I personally love his illustration style, it's my kind of thing for sure, so I love his books, and I just think the drama of all of the poses and the pages is so beautiful, and it's the sort of read that just helps me forget things and just immerse myself in his writing and his stories, and I love his books. He's got 3 out at the moment, I think, and I've read and really enjoyed all of them, so I'll definitely pick up anything he ever releases because it's just such an escapist fantasy. I mean, they're not all fantasy, some of them are just contemporary reads actually, but they all have this sort of whimsical quality through the images. So I highly recommend a book that is heavily illustrated or something you can lose yourself in. Maybe an art book, maybe something that's just a little bit different to your normal read, but something that you can dip into and just enjoy. And the final sort of recommendation I have for you guys, if you're going through lots of stuff, is something just fun, light-hearted, easy. So for this I would go for something sword and sorcery, something maybe that has a really good main character or a couple of main characters. I highly recommend the Hadrian and Royce series by Michael J. Sullivan. I'll put a picture up of the first in that series because that is a series that you could just immerse yourself in and feel like laughter and joy and just get behind these 2 sneaky characters and get involved in all their adventures. I think that's a great thing to do when you're feeling a bit down or a bit overwhelmed. You can just, again, it's all about losing yourself, escaping into a book. But I think Sword and Sorcery is a great one. And I also think that this series by Jodie Taylor is another series, kind of a similar vein, except this is definitely not Sword and Sorcery. This is more sci-fi history, I suppose. It's a mixture of historical and science fiction because there's time travelling through historical periods. Again, it has a really wonderful main character who I think just makes me laugh. I get the same sense of humour from this book that I have in reality, and I just really enjoy kind of reading about these characters and their misadventures and what goes on. So again, I think this is a reliable series to dive into, and a reliable subgenre is sword and sorcery or comedy, something like that, that's going to make you have a bit of fun whilst you read. So those are just a couple of my recommendations for when you're in this kind of weird headspace, when you're feeling a bit overwhelmed. And because I am in this weird headspace right now, I would love to have recommendations from you guys. If any of these books are ones you've read, or if you've read others that you think would really work to help someone who's going through something or just feeling a bit, you know, like they don't know what to do. What sort of books would you recommend for people in that situation? I would love to hear in the comments. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye guys!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me.